Well, folks, so welcome into Judith Plains Montana 4X by DJ Modding. In this video, we're going to be giving you a preview, a tour of this upcoming map for Farming Simulator 25. I'll show you all the farms, all the fields, and everything you can expect when you get a chance to dive into it. And yeah, we have a few things to go over. There is quite a bit going on this map. Let's jump in. And you know what? This isn't even a sponsored segment, but this is probably the best multiplayer map for Farming Simulator 25. So you're going to want to get a G-Portal game server to fire this up so you can play with all your friends. Click the link down below and get 10% off your G-Portal game server right now. You know what the best way to tour a map is? Usually by car, right? So you know what? We'll use the Skoda now because I'm not probably going to use it any other time. And nice thing about this car, though, for this type of video, well, it's electric, so you don't have to listen to it, and you can hear my sultry voice instead of the vehicle. Oh, actually, you know what? The car kind of whines a little bit. Huh. Maybe that was a bad choice. Anyways, Judith Plains Montana 4X includes 147 varying size fields. It has 6 custom-built farms for multiplayer, and on top of that, it has 2 different cities or towns on the map itself. By the way, we are in the main city, I guess you'd call this. So this is where the Tim Hortons is. That's main city, I guess, in my book, technically. We are in the city of Moccasin, Montana. So in this city, you will find most of the sales points, much like you will in the other city as well, which we'll get to later on. But you'll also find a logistics center here where you can load trains with, dry goods at least, or palleted goods. Main town silo system. In behind that, guys, you're going to find the main animal dealer here for the area. You can see they've got actual animated animals out in the field as well, which is always a nice touch. And on top of that, guys, just a ton of detail throughout. One of the nice parts of actually this particular town is the bulk sales at the Tractor Supply Company. There is actually a building there which you can drive through and get bulk sale for all your goods. Well, not all your goods, but a lot of your goods. Also, anhydrous ammonia is available here. So the interesting thing about this map, guys, is you have the 2 cities. It's connected by this highway. This is Highway 87, and it goes directly between the 2 cities. And realistically, guys, this is pretty much the only way to get across the map. There is one other road, but this map is divided by a large valley that separates kind of the 2 cities almost. So right now we're up on the highlands, up in the northwest side of the map. This is the far northwest corner of the map. And as we take the highway down, this will lead us to Hobson, which is the 2nd city on the map. Now, this highway is pretty much the only way to get there for the most part. There is one other highway off to the east, or off to the west. There is no way to get down because of a large valley. So, you'll be on this highway quite a bit, transporting goods. Now, like I said, this is a 4X map, so unfortunately, console players, that means you will not be able to play this map. This map will be unavailable for console players. It is a 4X map, PC only. And of course, there's a lot of other, I don't know, copyright areas, I guess you might say, looking at the Jack Daniels distillery right there. So you won't even find this on the mod hub either. This is going to be a third-party download. Like I said, you'll find that in the description once it is available. I'll put it down below so you guys can go and download it yourself. It should be ready shortly after the release of this video. All right, like I said, now this is separated. There's the Jack Daniels distillery by a large valley that kind of leads between the 2 cities. Now we're about to drop down into that valley, as you can see right here on this bridge deck. Ahead of us, that is the start of Hobson. So we've got this large valley here. There's no real access down in that direction. There is one road down off to the east, which will allow you to get up on the far side there. But for the most part, guys, you're going to be taking this road. If you're going to be going between the cities or transporting goods between any of the cities, you're going to be on this highway quite a bit back and forth. But fortunately, it's a pretty nice looking road. Quite a bit of space. There is traffic. Just yield for certain intersections, that's all. Entering into the town of Hobson just ahead of us. Now, similar to the town of Moccasin, very similar, you got to have some sell points. This one does have a large ethanol plant, which actually is very, very cool. Let's take a quick look at it. If we could figure out the entrance into it, I'll see if I can find it. It's around the far side, actually. We do have sell points, of course, all throughout. There's various buildings and various production points in here, once again, kind of as expected. But we'll go around the back side of the town here, and I want to go through this ethanol plant because you'd be surprised. It actually looks pretty good. That's the exit, I believe, right there. Entrance is way up on that hillside up there. We got to go up and around here, I do believe. Yeah, you've got to go all the way around just to try to get to it. Is this the entrance right here? No, that's our grain mill right there, grain flour mill. Okay, we don't want to go that way. We want to keep moving along. Once again, looks nice looking building. Okay, another sell point, another mill down over on that side. fuel station, and right here is what I was looking for. This is the entry, the Rocky Mountain Ethanol Facility. I believe this is the entrance. At least it feels like this should be the entryway. They have scales on each side. Yeah, there you go. In this way, trucks, office. Yeah, of course. You do have a custom scale house and scale. And as we go up the hill and around, you're going to find another customized area. Train loading station and ethanol dump platform, I should say, right through the middle of this. Perfect. As we wrap all the way through, as you can see, that would be the only thing needed there, but this goes on for quite a bit. It's almost like a little town of itself right in here at the ethanol plant. There's a ton of space dedicated for this place, and just kind of leads itself to a little bit of realism, that's for sure. Unfortunately, there's not much else to do in here, but it does look pretty darn good. And then there's the exit finally on the way we came into town. There's scale on the way out, and we are back out into town once again. There you go. That's the town of Hobson, guys. Like I said, very similar in a lot of ways to Moccasin, which is on the far edge of the map as well, but a little bit different, customized, of course, by comparison. There are some entry-level buildings, not a ton. The fire hall, for instance, you can get inside if you decide to use that for maybe roleplay stuff. Who knows? But another nice little town right off to the southern edge of the map itself. So those are the two major landmark cities, I would say, on the map. However, there is one other town area, I would say, maybe industrial district almost, that I kind of want to point out before we go and look at each of the farms. And we've already we've passed it, barely, briefly. The Jack Daniels plant is along with, I think there's another brewery there, along with a buy and sell point and a fuel station, are kind of midpoint on the highway that goes between the two cities. And here we are. On the right side, you have a car dealership, which is a decoration, but over on the left, we do have a fuel station, and then, yeah, a farmer's market, along with a couple of production points. Once again, these are all just dead center of the county itself, kind of right on the highway there that goes past between the two cities, so you'll see this pretty much every time you go anywhere. Nice production points, added productions to the map itself. And then across the road, there is another sell point, kind of centralized, another mill, which we can sell to. I believe the name of this one is, if we scroll on down, the Iron Ridge Grain. There you go. Iron Ridge Grain Mill is just on the far side over here. Now, I should mention there are 2 extra crops in game, other than productions, of course. There are a few extra productions, but in game, the crops you're going to find, you've got clover and you have alfalfa, which are added in. I guess technically we have corn stalks as well as soybean straw in the base map as well. As far as production goes, like I said, there's a couple extra productions here that we can go in from anhydrous that we talked about. If we scroll on down, see what else we can find that might be a little bit different. Some clover hay, dried corn, of course. Pizza? Is that different? I don't think we've had pizza before. And then down near the bottom, I found, of course, some brown water and, well, something more useful with the grapes down here at the bottom. If you want to make those, you can. So we're pulling just back up towards the town of Moccasin right now. We're going to head to the starting farm. So if you happen to pick new farmer mode, this is the farm you will get to start off with. I'm not going to go over the equipment you get with the farm, but we'll go through the farm itself. And it's interesting, this map leads itself very well to multiplayer. This is a multiplayer map through and through. There are 6 different farms that are built somewhat similarly to the one we're going to look at. We'll go take a quick look at all of them, but very cool the way the amount of farms that are available, and they're all equal in their own rights. As we pull on in, first farm right up over the hill here. This farm is rather spread out to begin with, but a ton of detail, and all the farms have a ton of detail. They utilize similar buildings throughout, but there are some subtle differences between all of them. So here we go, guys. Main farm right here. This is your starting farm. You have a ton of outbuildings, of course, a farmhouse. This one is the only the farm that has this particular house. It is enterable, and if we turn that off, we can go inside. Maybe. There we go. And yeah, you can go inside this house completely upstairs and down. But on top of that, even all the shop buildings are all decorated, similar to what you see in here. In fact, if we go to any of the other farms, they will be all decorated in a similar fashion, but maybe a little bit different as well. But you'll find various things on the inside of all the buildings. Just kind of cross the road over to this shop right here. I mean, look at that. That looks fantastic. I mean, there's just a ton of buildings, of course, on each of these farms, and you can see, well, each of them do have their own decorations. This is the corn dryer and silo for this particular farm. Each of them are different in each of the farms, which you'll notice as well. And each of the farm has pasture land. Now this one here, they're all a little bit different. but they all have plenty of land for animals and barns set up already to go for them. Now this here is what, our hog pen, it looks like, and then we have cattle and sheep kind of just off of the river, the creek that runs through here, and kind of a customized pen down below. Looks great. Now, one thing that does make this particular farm unique is there is a biogas plant that's pretty much attached to it. So you do have the Montana biogas plant just off the backside of the farm right here that might as well be part of this particular farm. It also does have access to, well, an interesting farmland, which is part of it. You get this piece of farmland in the center of, well, this railway track that goes all the way around it. So this is your access into this particular farmland. And on the far side, you can see there's a silo. The Great Plains Grain Company, not train company, Great Plains Grain Company, where you load up the train itself, along with another platform here for transporting warehouse goods. You can see we can go inside and they put platforms down along the side of it. If you would decide to use that, you can load goods right onto the train deck here with a forklift or something along those lines. Yeah, I can't say I've seen anyone design a train line like this in Farm Sim before. It comes in, it'll do one lap and then head out down the line. Very interesting. You can also, of course, rent the train on the map. Now, even though we've shown you most of this main farm right here, you can see there's buildings right over on the far side. That is part of your farm as well. This is all part of the main primary farm, the single player farm. If you start off with easy or single player mode or start a farm mode, this is all the farm you're going to get. You're going to get all the farm on that side, plus these buildings down on this side. Also down here, you get a secondary cattle pen, actually much larger cattle pen, with additional buildings and, well, office space in the back side here that's pretty decored all up again. Look at that. That's so cool. All right, so that's going to do it for Farm 1, the primary farm. Let's keep on going up to the northeast. You can see the blue buildings off in the horizon there. That's our second farm we're going to look at. So before we roll into this farm, I'm going to give you a quick lay of the land here. Let's bring up the PDA so we can take a little look and you can kind of see how everything's kind of laid out. So once again, 147 fields. The town of Moccasin is up in the northwest corner. That highway will take us straight south down to the town of Hobson, way down in field 126 area down there. Our starting farm right around field 94. You can see how many fields you get with new farmer mode. You can see you get all these fields here along with all the various barns that encompass that. Now, we have just traveled right to the far easterly side of the map, and there is a farm right here on field 92 or 135. This farm is the most compact farm. You're still getting some animal pens, not as many as the previous farm, but you're getting, I believe that there is cattle, or is it sheep right there? It should be sheep, I think. Yeah, we have a large cattle pen off the back of that particular farm. And then once again, you're still getting all these decorated buildings throughout, a fermenting silo, corn dryer along with silo system, and just like I said, a ton of outbuildings with offices and vehicle storage areas. And yes, they're all decorated much like the main farm, the first farm we looked at as well. You don't have to ask that. They're all like this. So we're going to head straight south from this farm to our next farm. And like I said, all these farms are actually really quite nicely built. And it's one of the conundrums I find myself in. I like to build farms. And I mean, you definitely can build your own farm on this map. There's plenty of space being a 4X map. But these farms all look so nice. I feel like I'd be guilty not to use one of the farms that DJ Modding has made on the map. They are all fantastic looking farms as we drop down over the crest of this hill. Look at that valley. This is actually part of the main valley that I said you usually can't cross across in any other part of the map. This is the secondary road that heads south between the two cities, kind of. Yeah, it's definitely an end route around the far edge of the map, the easterly side of the map. Not very close to the center. That main highway 87 is definitely the way you're going to be going between the city most of the time, but this way here goes down along the easterly side of the map, straight south right now, as we head up to our next farm, which is just kind of off to our left side here. We do have a couple sell points up on the right, a fuel station, and I believe it's a woodworking production just on the right. Off on the distance, I don't know if we'll be able to see it, there is a sawmill just off in the distance there as well, which is only accessible from this little section down in here. But this is the farm which we're kind of wanting to see, of course. Let's just get down across the creek here and we'll take a quick look at this particular farm. Once again, you're going to get your farmhouse along with a bunch of outbuildings for storage and animal pens once again. Pretty much everything. They all have fairly large ones. You do have your fermenting silo right there. But the interesting thing here is you've got a silo system with corn dryer that is a different entrance from the rest of your farm. So be aware of that. And as well, this one has an interesting, I believe it's the sheep barn right here. This barn, the pasture actually goes underneath the roadway over to the far side of the highway that goes through. Kind of a nice design. That looks very cool. Now there's the fuel station and woodworking shop that we talked about, the production right here. If we go over this tree to the back of that, to the west, you're going to find, like I said, the lumber mill. There's a lumber mill back here. Like I said, if you want to do some logging, this map does have sections of trees, which are prime pickings for that, of course. And then this is the only access over by the farm. We just kind of toured around over to the far eastern side over here. So there's the 3 farms on the far kind of easterly side. We're going to head back past the town of Hobson now. Like, we're going down to the very far southerly point of the county, which is that right there is the town we're looking at. And we're going to head straight across over to some of the other farms that are on the more westerly side, which actually you can see the first one right ahead of us. Like, there's custom traffic. The train is custom as well. It's not the generic train. So you're going to find a lot of custom details, like I said. Now, the fields themselves on all of these guys, they range in size, the largest of which I believe is 135 acres. You have some that are down around 20 acres as well. Prices range from anywhere from a couple $100,000 all the way up to, I believe, $3.2 million for each of the fields. So there's quite a large varying degree of farm size fields. So we're kind of centralized right north of the city of Hobson right now. At our next farm we're going to look at in field 137, this here is the valley that goes through kind of the middle of the map. And that's the main bridge deck that comes down right there. Once again, similar farm. We do have animals once again, like I've been talking about for all these farms. You have your own silo system, fermenting silo. But all the buildings, once again, have been decored inside, so they look like they're ready to go. You do have a train track off the back side of this farm as well. But lots of large flat fields kind of surround these next couple farms down in this area. I should also mention most of the farms, if you just want to buy outright buy one of the farmlands or the farm areas that these are placed on, they go for around $500,000. So that's kind of what you'd be looking at if you ever decide to buy just one of these farms. Got an AI farm right here with some cattle just chilling out in this open pasture right here as we head down to our next farm, which is going to be on the far westerly side, maybe the southwesterly side of the map itself. Kind of got to take this dirt road out into the county a little bit to go get to this farm. We can kind of see it up on the horizon straight ahead of us there. Now, when this farm is kind of spread out a little bit more than the other ones, you do have a farmhouse here. We do have some outbuildings right close by. As I travel into the back side here, you're going to find there's our silo system with corn dryer, fermenting silos back over there as well. And then we do have some hay storage, just along with some other outbuildings kind of on the back side here. And then all our animals are on the far westernly side down over on this far corner here. There is a bit of an irrigation ditch that kind of goes through between everything that you'll have to navigate around, but big open fields down for this farm for sure that you'll be able to access and definitely make use of. Yeah, we're going to leave that farm. We have one more farm to go look at. It's a bit of a dead end down in that section. Like I said, we're separated by the ridge you can see right ahead of us over in that corner along the line there. We cannot access any roadways that go up that ridge to get up on top of that. We have to head back to Highway 87 in order to, well, transverse the map now. It's such a long ways that we also have to go past this farm here just to do that as well. It's a long trek to get back that way. Holy, there's the road right there. Hammer down. So we're up on the ridge here once again, just up by the Jack Daniels, the Brown Water sell point. And we'll take this road right here, I believe. And this will lead us into our last farm that is just up on the ridge overlooking that massive ridge that looks down towards Hobson. So you have a nice view from this one. Actually has some interesting animal areas up ahead here. Kind of cut on through between all these signs. And here we are at the last farm I wanted to look at. So you're in field 134, centralized. This here is the production point we just drove past. There's the main farm. There's Highway 87 and then Hobbs down below. Above that, Moccasin's at the very top of the map. And this here is the field and farm we're going to be looking at. So the farm itself, somewhat similar to the rest. However, this one here has a beauty view. I mean, you've got animal pastures that kind of ride out along this ridge here that overlook. You can see that's the city of Hobson down the far end of the map over there. That is one of the farms down below as well. But as we spin around, here is our main farm. You've got the silo system with corn dryer, a ton of outbuildings, and quite a few animals already built right into this farm. So all 6 of these farms, yeah, they're somewhat similar, but at the same time, they've at least changed the colors on a lot of them, so they're recognizable by color palette, and they all have kind of a modern feel for sure. There's nothing like an older style farm. They're all fairly new out here. So that's the brief tour of Judith River, Montana. Judith Valley? Judith River. I get that mixed up every single time because the Judith River runs right through it, and I'm never right anyways. It's Judith Plains, Klutch. Nice work. Judith Plains Montana 4X. Great map, actually. Very highly detailed. Love the flow of this map so far, but we'll have to dive into this to take a closer look at, well, how everything runs together when you're actually running one of these farms. And in case you're wondering, of course, this is done by DJ Modding. You can see a bunch of his previous releases if you've played any of these. I've actually played every single last one of these from, of course, the unrelenting Upper Mississippi River Valley. Green Valley, Nebraska was big, of course, in Farm Sim 22, and then a ton of these back in Farm Sim 19, somewhere in Canada, Deer Country, Oklahoma River. There's a ton of great maps he's done, and this one here, I think, to be honest, might top them all. This is a fantastic feeling map, guys. So if you have any questions or comments, of course, well, you know what to do with those. Drop them down below. I will do my best to answer whatever I can. And as I said before, the download link for the map will be in the description once the map is available. And as we said before, this is the ultimate multiplayer map, so this might be the best time for you to go ahead and get a G-Portal game server. Check out the link in the description, get 10% off so you can get you and a bunch of buddies on this map on release. It is a fantastic map for multiplayer with those 6 pre-built farms ready to go. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you did. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new around the channel for all your Farm Sim 25 content. And we'll see you guys next time. This is Klutch from Judith Plains, Montana. Over and out.